Let's say you buy something for $30 and it costs 30 cents per click. You just pay me to get 100 people to click on that ad. If it's you and another person out of that 100 that bought, I now have $60. That's 200 people. But if 2 out of every 100 convert, then I just got 4 sales. So now I have enough for 400. So sales are the dream conversion.
You are now listening to the Creative Juice podcast, brought to you by Entrepreneur.io.
What's up, Indies? Welcome back to the Creative Juice podcast. This is episode 276. I am your co-host, Jack McCarthy. With me is my co-host, Circa, and we're going to be talking about traffic and your fans today. And I'm really excited about this episode because I think it's going to answer a question that a lot of people have had over the years. Cirque, what's good, dude?
Beep, beep, brother. Traffic time.
I'm excited about this one. Maybe this has been a question that you've had. If you're listening, Cirque, maybe this is a question that you've gotten, because I certainly have, with artists that have been interested in working with us at IndieX, with indies in the community, with coaching clients. A question that has come up a lot, which I think will be fun for us to unpack and sort of talk about today, is this idea of when I'm running ads, I want to send someone to somewhere else. And here's a really common sort of way that it's been asked to me is like, yeah, Jack, totally. Like, I want to run some Facebook ads or some Instagram ads, and I'd really like to use them to send people to my YouTube channel because I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel. Or, hey, I'd really like to use those ads to drive people over to my Instagram. And can we do that? Is that something that you guys have seen done well? And I think that that's a really interesting question and gives us an opportunity to talk about why we advertise.
Yeah. I think I've actually given this exact talk before, maybe in a live stream in the group or something. I'm glad to get into it. I also talked about this, what we're about to talk about on Brandman Network's podcast last week. So definitely ready for this conversation.
It's a fun one for sure. This will hopefully be helpful for any of you that are thinking about advertising for the first time and wondering like, well, where am I supposed to be sending people? Why am I supposed to be sending them to certain destinations? What's kind of the goal of a conversion? I think these are all questions that hopefully we can give some light on and give some direction and strategy to you guys who are, maybe wondering like, does it make sense to try and grow a YouTube channel by sending people from one platform and paying for them to go somewhere else?
I think it's useful to first kind of break down traffic and conversion because it's going to be hyper relevant to what we're talking about today. But in digital marketing, in all marketing, really, and you could probably extend this concept out to other things that aren't marketing, but ultimately you have traffic and you have conversion. Traffic is where you get people from. Conversion is what you want those people to do. So, the initial portion of any marketing process or sales process is like, we need to get people's attention and get in front of them so that we can deliver a message and hopefully get them to take an action. Okay. And that action that we want them to take is the conversion. And so typically you are spending an expense, not always advertising. It could be an expense you're paying in the form of your time. Could be an expense you're paying in the form of paying, a publicist or something like that. But essentially, there's always a cost for traffic. There's always a cost to get people's eyeballs en masse. And if you're not paying cash, then you're spending time and effort.
I want to expand on that a little bit. This is a good way for us to kind of break down different kinds of traffic, because I think when we talk about traffic, a lot of times you might automatically think paid ads on social media. You might automatically think Facebook ads, Instagram ads, TikTok ads, whatever. But traffic can be anything, really. Anyone can be a traffic source. Your email list is a traffic source. Your organic social media following is a traffic source. Your advertising is a traffic source. The people at your shows that you have, a captive audience with are a traffic source.
Yeah.
And so like you were saying, sir, there's a cost to all kinds of traffic sources, but we're not exclusively talking about advertising here. And I think it's important to start by saying that because it will give us a bit of an expansion into this deeper discussion on conversion and conversion actions.
Yeah, so there's basically traffic can, it's not always strangers. So I think that point about, if you have an email list, technically that's a traffic source is like, this is warm traffic. These are people who already know who you are, but they might be right for an offer or a conversion or an action. They might be right to take an action. So that's what traffic is. And ideally in marketing, you want your traffic to cost as little as possible while preserving the likelihood of them converting, right? So like I can go get 1,000 eyeballs in a third world country for a lot cheaper than I can in a first world country. But if I'm selling a product that like no one in a third world country is going to be able to afford or won't be relevant to their lives, then like it doesn't matter how cheap that is because it's not right for the conversion. So that's kind of the constraint on how cheap you want to make traffic. Conversion is basically any action that, I guess not any action that has a financial benefit to you, but it's just any action that benefits you. So it might be them signing up for something. It might be them leaving a review. These are things that don't cost them money, but are beneficial for you. But in a lot of cases, a conversion is a sale. Like that's the ideal conversion, is a high ticket sale. Maximum sale cost. So you have traffic and you have conversion, and there are lots of different ways to get traffic. When we think of advertising platforms, what we think of them as is a traffic store. There are places where you can go just buy traffic. And these are typically advertising platforms. You got your YouTube, your Meta, TikTok, Twitter. I don't advertise on Twitter, but you can advertise there. You also have Google is a traffic store, Google search. So there's lots of different traffic stores. And a lot of these places you'll notice are also places where you can trade time and effort for traffic. So on Google, you can write a really compelling article on your website and get ranked in the search results instead of paying to be in that search window.
It's like a traffic treadmill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're working hard for it. On YouTube, you can make really compelling videos and get lots of eyeballs that way because you show up in YouTube search results. On TikTok, you can make really cool TikTok videos and, they go viral and you have a big audience then. These are all traffic stores, but they can also be places where you trade time and effort for traffic, or you do the thing they want you to do for traffic.
I think it's pretty helpful to think of traffic stores in that way, like different kinds of marketplaces. And the trading of time and effort is, to you, could just be as valuable as trading your dollars and cents and your credit card,
Yeah. That said, like, why do you want to, like, let's say you've got a TikTok and you want lots of TikTok followers. Why? Why do you want that? Probably in most cases, if we really get down to the root of it, it's because you want traffic. You either want to sell these eyeballs to some sponsor who's going to pay you to promote their product, or you want to create your own product and you want to direct their attention to that. Even if you just want to be famous, in a lot of cases, when you really peel back the layers and get to like, why do you want to be famous? Like, well, I won't have to worry about money probably. Okay, why won't you have to worry about money? It's because the people who become fans of you will eventually buy something. So in all these cases, if you're doing it organically and you're not paying for ads, at the end of the day, you still want a conversion. You're not just doing it to build up a big amount of like free traffic and then just have it.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting that why is kind of a fundamental question of marketing, and I think a fundamental question of business. It's funny because in a lot of these conversations that I have at IndieX, when we're talking to potential clients and stuff like that, there is a lot of asking questions to follow up questions by just saying like, well, why? Why do you want that? Why is that your goal? Okay. Why do you want the thing that you're saying is the reason that it's your goal? It seems like it's an endless loop of whys.
Can be. Yeah. Certainly can be. So that's all just to say that like it's important that you understand before we unpack whether it's a smart idea to run advertising to like grow an organic following or a following in general. It's important that you understand why are followings good? Why do people amass them? It's like because it's traffic, right? It's a good source of traffic, qualified traffic. And so getting down to the heart of the episode and what Jack had proposed as our topic for today is, someone asked in the group, how do I grow a YouTube channel using paid ads. And the problem with that is that in that case, you are going to be trying to grow a free traffic source by using paid traffic to send people from one traffic store to another traffic store.
Right.
And so the problem with that is that like you're going to be paying double for the same traffic. Because why are they going to stay? Let's say you're sending people from Instagram to YouTube, right? Are you sending them to a blank YouTube channel with no videos? Okay, well then you have to make some, you're gonna have to make some videos. And like chances are, if you want them to stick around, you want them to follow you, they're gonna have to be compelling videos. And so you're doing the work of how you would get free traffic from YouTube, and then you're paying to get people to check it out. When in reality, you could be paying to get it, a much more desirable conversion. So we don't consider becoming organic traffic as a viable conversion to happen after paid traffic.
For paid traffic, right.
Yeah, it's not a good conversion. It's like a traffic hamster wheel.
I think there's an interesting point to be made here about the friction. Well, 2 points. One is about the friction from taking users, people, and encouraging them to go from one platform where you're buying traffic. That could be, the meta platforms over to YouTube, where they weren't really hanging out in the first place and trying to have a convincing reason for them to stay there. That's challenging because in and of itself, they were hanging out here first. It's most likely that they're either going to want to continue hanging out over here on Instagram, on Facebook, wherever. It's more likely that they're going to want to continue being social there than they are to go over here to be social for another reason. It's much more likely that they'd be willing to go from social place here to next step with you beyond just, hanging around and engaging. That's kind of point number one. The other thought that comes to my mind with this is if you're trying to take, like what you were saying, sir, trying to encourage paid traffic, users that you're acquiring via dollars or eyeballs that you're acquiring via dollars, and getting them to go somewhere to then be free organic traffic. If you're not acquiring free organic traffic over there by your efforts of that platform, it's not really likely that what you're doing is all that compelling and good that they're going to want to hang out there anyway. And that's kind of a bit of a hard pill to swallow, I think.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so let's take the example of sending traffic from like TikTok or Instagram over to YouTube, right? If it's the case that your content on YouTube is so compelling, if you can just get them over there, they're going to love it and they're going to follow you and they're going to subscribe. Then you could be getting free traffic from YouTube.
I would argue that you should be.
You should be putting like, tags in your videos. You should be thinking up topics that are highly SEO relevant or search engine relevant. So they get they're searched a lot, right? You should be trying to grind out organic traffic on YouTube if that's the case. Now, if you like really want to boost that, you can actually advertise on YouTube. Okay. But the problem with that is that it costs more money than it costs to advertise on like Instagram or TikTok in a lot of cases. And you have no way to make that money back, because if you did, you would just send traffic from Instagram to that place you can make money back. You would be paying for traffic and getting a conversion. And so I think really when people are asking this question, what it tells me is that you don't have a good conversion. You don't have a thing you're trying to do. And so in lieu of that, you're just trying to build up a following for the eventual case in which you do. And so instead of sending like traffic to your YouTube channel to check out your videos, I would take it as a sign as like, my videos are not compelling because they're not generating their own organic traffic. So I need to fix something at the organic content level and not try to just pump paid traffic into it. Because what I'm doing is I'm taking a failed attempt to get traffic and I'm paying money to make it less failed.
Yeah. That's a really good point. And to zoom this out to any kind of business level, let's go 30,000 foot view. Like there's a common saying in marketing amongst marketers that's like, paid traffic, running ads, it will illuminate the problems in your business. If you have problems with fulfilling on a product that you're selling, paying for leads and trying to pay for customers will show you that. If you have a problem with following up and communicating with your customers, paying for traffic will show you that painfully. It will painfully show you that. It's a very common thing in marketing. It's painful for marketers. It's painful for business owners. And I think that this is a nice analogy or a nice connection to that same sort of idea, is like inflating your traffic over to a platform where you're not really ready or generating real interest. Well, yeah, there's the shining light on the problem, you know?
Yeah. There are paid ways to grow your following on what we would typically consider a traffic store, which is like a social media platform or a place where like I can advertise. If I can advertise there, it's a traffic store. And there's probably an organic way to get that traffic as well. And the problem with that, or rather, there is a method for doing that, and it's called native advertising. It's something we did a whole lot from 2017 to like 2022, 2021. It's like native advertising. What is it? It is keeping the user in the ecosystem that you got them from. So you're not sending them to an external destination. If I'm advertising on Instagram, I'm trying to keep you on Instagram. The reason why it's something that you might do, even though I wouldn't recommend you do it cross-platform, sending from Instagram to YouTube. The reason you might do native advertising on Instagram or on YouTube is because native advertising is usually a lot cheaper. Why? Because the goal of the person selling you the traffic is to keep traffic on the platform. And if they're going to let you send it off to an external destination, you're going to pay for it. Now, if you're going to keep it on the destination, they're going to cut you a little deal. You're going to get cheaper impressions. You're going to get your ads served cheaper because you're not intending to send people off of the platform.
This is the reason that if you're running a campaign with an objective of conversions, for example, on Meta, why your cost per mil, your CPMs are higher.
Yeah, exactly. So, and there are still uses for native advertising. Like you might boost content on Instagram because you're trying to grow an Instagram following, and that's all fine, especially for entertainers where like content's kind of our business. We might do that. But sending traffic cross-platform is a disruptive user experience. It is expensive considering that if they do the thing you want them to do, you will still make $0. Okay. You're not going to make any money. So you're raising the cost of the traffic. You're lowering the value of the conversion to almost zero. And it's just not smart. So native advertising does have its place, but it's never it's never cross-platform.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's funny how over the years that question has evolved and changed as desired organic platforms have or traffic gyms or treadmills, whatever we want to call them, have changed. What's the hot platform to build up an organic audience on? For quite a long time, it was like YouTube. Not that YouTube isn't super popular still, of course it is. But the question recently evolved more into like, well, how do I grow my Instagram? How do I take people from here and take them over to Instagram? How do I take people from Facebook and get them to pay attention to be on TikTok? It sometimes is even true of artists and creatives that have an audience, a big audience sometimes on one platform, and they're wondering how to get them over to the other. I saw a lot of that early days in Instagram when, you had these artist bands with hundreds of thousands of followers on Facebook and hundreds of thousands of fans engaging with them on a regular basis. And, seeing the up of Instagram, wondering, oh, well, like, how do I get some of my fans to come hang out with me on Instagram? Like, I want to be the lever that gets them to adopt the thing. And that's really hard to do. That's like influencing more than just, a fan's behavior on your behalf. That's trying to influence their behavior on like a platform's behalf. That's really hard.
Yeah. It's worth noting here that like, when it comes to artists, musicians, the first places people think to use as a conversion destination, a place you want to send your traffic, are all terrible. YouTube from Instagram is a bad one, but also Spotify is a bad one. I've run thousands of dollars in advertising to Spotify, but in full awareness that Spotify is a black hole. It's neither a traffic store, like you can buy audio ads on it, but
they're not very good.
They're not very great, right? And so it's the worst traffic store you can possibly get. And then there's no messaging on the platform. So there's no return path. We'll talk about that in a second. And the conversion you can get is worth almost nothing. Someone streams your song, let's say it's 100 times in the next month. You just made 40 cents, right? So it's not great because you probably paid 40 cents or more to get them to click over in the first place, along with 10 other people who didn't listen. So you're never going to outrun the cost of it. And your hope is that you're feeding enough data to Spotify that the recommendation engine kicks in and you get out more than you put in, which isn't always the case.
That's an uphill battle that I think continues to get steeper as time goes on, especially as more people try to do it. It just becomes, I wasn't planning for us to rip into running ads to Spotify, but here we are. Definitely didn't have that on the bingo card for this episode.
It's definitely worth mentioning, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And so one thing you want to consider is the return path of your conversion. So we talked about traffic. You're getting eyeballs either through advertising, paid traffic, or from content, organic or earned media is what they call it. And when you send people off to a destination, there's a couple of different destinations we could think about. One might be content on the platform. And the return path, the way you get back in front of people who actually do that conversion is you have to run another ad. Not all platforms allow you to run ads specifically to people who interacted with a previous one, but some do. So on Instagram, I can get back in front of all the people who successfully converted on my native advertising by running another ad to just the people who interacted with this post, for instance. Now, you want to always consider the value of your return path. How much can I communicate with the people who convert?
Yeah, this is still some of the challenge with organic TikTok. You still can't build profile-based custom audiences in TikTok ads.
Right. So you can't advertise directly to people who actually did the thing you wanted them to do. Thereby, you can't talk to people as if they already did the thing you wanted them to do. You have to talk to them like they might be new.
As a clarifier, you can retarget ads-related TikTok custom audiences. So people who buy, you can retarget them. People who watch your video ads, you can retarget them. People who click on your ads, you can retarget them. But the gold mine that is TikTok or has been TikTok
is organic.
And that's what people talk about. But those people, nope, off limits.
Yeah, you got to hope that they see the message you want them to see. So return paths are important to consider because if you send someone from Instagram over to YouTube, you just traded a pretty okay return path, just retargeting the same audience on Instagram into a much more expensive one, which is retargeting them on YouTube.
For sure. Yeah.
So you can't communicate with them as cleanly. If you send people to Spotify, you're never communicating with them again. There's no return path. Never going to talk to them. And then if you send now here's where we get into what we consider higher value conversions. One might be get them to sign up for your email list. They're not giving you money. It's not a paid conversion. You're not making money, but at least you have them forever, right? There's no one can take them away from you. You don't have to advertise. You can send a free email to them. Okay. So if you get them to convert and join your email list, and that's the conversion, that's already higher value than anything we just talked about.
And you can heavily personalize their experience. At the most minimal level, you can call them by their name. Like can't do that on social media. Although they're
100%.
Remember back in the day, like when you could upload a list of one to Facebook and you could retarget like, "Hey Circa, here's a dumb picture of your face," and it would show up on your newsfeed.
Yeah.
Those days are long gone.
So not only can I personalize more, but I can add tags to your email contact profile so I know what you did previously and I can change my messaging based on that. I can talk to you very specifically. So email, already a way better return path, even if it's not like the best conversion because you're not making any money. You're spending money. And also another thing about email is if you don't answer or I go into your spam folder, I can upload you to an ad platform and advertise to you. So I always have a fail safe. There's just so many layers of benefit there. If I make a sale to you, okay, now I have, if it's a physical product, I have your address. I can send you snail mail. I have your email. I might have your phone number. I have all this data that I can use to either target you, send you an email, send you snail mail. And I've got paid to advertise in that case.
Right.
So you just, let's say you buy something for $30 and it costs 30 cents per click. You just pay me to get 100 people to click on that ad. If it's you and another person out of that 100 that bought. I now have $60. That's 200 people. But if 2 out of every 100 convert, then I just got 4 sales. So now I have enough for 400. So sales are the dream conversion. They're the dream conversion target. That's what you want to be getting as a conversion. And if you can get really cheap traffic to do so, it's great. And that's why influencers kind of own the world right now, because their traffic is free in a lot of cases, and their conversions are high value. People are willing to buy things. So I hope that all makes sense. I hope that it makes you understand why one of the lowest value things you can be doing in terms of traffic and conversion is sending people from one traffic store to another.
I really enjoyed digging into this. I think it's worth saying here that this isn't just a question that indies might have that have never advertised before or that are trying to build a fan base for the first time. So like no one needs to feel dumb about this question. It actually is I think it's a really interesting exercise in talking about marketing and talking about the evolution of traffic and conversions, because we see the same kind of questioning or line of thinking with artists that have massive fan bases, where they'll come to us and they'll say, hey guys, like I've got 500,000 Instagram followers. I'd really like to get them over to YouTube. Like that's a ton of people that like, that's not the highest value thing that you can do, that we can do, that anyone could do with them. Here's another one. I've got 2 million subscribers on YouTube that are watching my content on a regular basis. I want to get more of them. Great. Of course you do. But the big opportunity there is like, you should probably sell something to those 2 million subscribers that isn't attached to you making more content. Why don't you just sell something directly? And all of a sudden, even if 1% of them buy a $10 thing, imagine how much money you could make.
Yeah. What is that? 20,000 times 200 grand.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That makes you want to throw up.
Very famous people ask us to run Spotify ads for them. Say that.
Yeah.
People who have no business.
Oh, I didn't even want to touch that one, but yeah, that's it.
So yeah, like you're definitely not alone if you're like, you're in good company if you don't already understand all this stuff that we're spitting at you. But yeah, it is a problem because you have people with bazookas that are wondering how they're going to like do some critical damage. It's like you have a bazooka, dude. What are you talking about? Just press the button on the top.
How do I get that fly over there?
Yeah. Even if someone comes into us with 1 million, social media followers and they're like, we want to build up our email list, we might not consider that to be the prime directive because like we cost money as an agency. So it's like, we want to justify our agency fee. How about we just like, there's probably at least 1% low hanging fruit who will buy something the second it's available. Let's do that first.
Yeah. In those cases, the email list is like the very quickly built bridge for making you a lot of money, But
even like in those cases, like you got a lot of free owned media or earned media, right? Like you have followers. So we could probably do like a story and sell. Like it just becomes really easy. So you always want to be considering when you're deploying, anytime that you're deploying traffic, that is, you are sending people from one place to another in hopes that they take an action that benefits you, whether it's paid or organic. You want to consider, what is my conversion? And is that the highest value conversion I should be going for here? You want to consider these constraints because maybe you don't have anything to sell, or maybe the people that you're addressing have no idea who you are, what we call cold traffic. And so they don't trust you. You're not going to sell them a product right away, or you don't have, the sort of brand recognition or social proof to suggest that they could be convinced to buy something. Then that conversion is out of reach. What's the next most valuable? There are almost no cases in which the best conversion available to you is get them to follow you on a different social media platform.
I think that pretty much sums it up. And I think this is helpful, hopefully, for you guys to give you a framework to think within about traffic, about your fans, about the goals that you should be shooting for and how you can communicate them with the people in your circles. Because for a lot of artists, there's likely, people jabbering in your ear about the things you should and shouldn't be focused on, the things you shouldn't and shouldn't be doing. And, there's also just a lot of bad advice out there. So if you can think this way and go through these kind of mental gymnastics of asking yourself these questions, you'll probably be ahead of 90% of the artists that are out there thinking about this stuff. And not that they're your competition. In most cases, you're your own competition. But if you can just get ahead a little bit, that can be a game changer.
I want to tag on at the end here. In our content upcoming, in our presentations upcoming, we're talking a lot about the 5 skills. 5 skills that we believe that if an indie artist has, they can probably end up full-time indie art. And one of those is advertising. If you don't understand advertising at all, a good training wheels, good training ground where you can't do too much damage to yourself is native advertising. Okay. It's advertising on the platform that the destination is the platform. And in that case, what you're doing is you're trying to prove out content. You got some content. You want to see if it does well with this audience. Right now, you can do that organically because reach is like boosted. So you could put out a post and, if it's good, it will do well. But you can also stress test it with paid traffic. So native advertising is a good playground to get used to advertising. Once you know advertising to some degree, you should build higher target conversions. You should build out an email list and an offer to get people to sign up for it. You should consider having products down the line where you can try to sell those. Obviously, you have to have these skills in place before you're ever going to do that. But keep everything in perspective and know what you're headed towards. And building the skill of advertising is the cheat code to like life and business. So use native advertising for what it's for, which is building your reach and your following on the platform you're advertising on, using content on that platform. But make no mistake, like you're in the business of making content to get eyeballs. So it's about making more compelling content and learning the platform that you advertise on. Once you're there, you should be moving towards higher target conversions off of the platform and not other social media sites.
You unlocked level 1 and now you're moving on to the boss.
Yeah. 100%.
I dig it. I love it. This is great, dude.
Talking some nerdy marketing with marketing buds, dude. It's the best.
I know. It's the best. I love it. Well, I hope you guys dug this. If you want to learn about native advertising, actually, I'd be remiss not to mention this. The Fan Finder method is a really, really great process for thinking about creating great native ads that can be used across multiple platforms, organic, paid, you name it. So if you want to learn the Fan Finder method, if you don't already know it, it's inside Indie Pro. We'll link to it in the show notes. Hope to see you guys in there. Hope you guys dug this, and we'll catch you next time on Creative Juice. Peace.
Can y'all really feel us? East Coast, feel us, West Coast, feel